Welcome to be a Mensch, our weekly class on Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers. We are nearing, for the past couple weeks, we are nearing the end of chapter 2. We will be completing chapter 2 next week. Today we are doing chapter 2, Mishnah 15. If you have the Pirkei Avot that we use, so then it is on page 78, Rabbi Tarfon Omer. If not, if you're using a siddur or anything else like that, you're looking for chapter 2, Mishnah 15. And recently, we had been discussing Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and his 5 children. We had just concluded discussing Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and his 5 students. Each of the 5 students taught us a different lesson for life. And the next student, the next rabbi who teaches us something this week is Rabbi Tarfon. Now, Rabbi Tarfon he was partially a student of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai as well, but more prominently, he was a student of Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus, who was the first, I don't know if you remember this is like 4 weeks ago already, the first of the 5 students of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai that we mentioned, so he was his student. Let's change it up today. Let's try to, before we go into what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai teaches us, let's learn about who Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was, because he was really a very special person. Sarah, Lisa, you want to read for us, please?
Where am I reading? The very beginning?
Yes, at the very beginning. Go ahead, Leah.
Rabbi Tarfon says, the day is short and time is very limited. There is a lot
No, I'm sorry. The biography of Rabbi Tarfon. You see that at the very beginning?
Yes. Rabbi Tarfon was a student of Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. A Kohen, he even merited to hear the Kohen Gadol say Hashem's full name, the Shem HaMeforash, in the Beis HaMikdash. He was a close friend and at one point also a teacher of Rabbi Akiva, although they often differed in halakhic matters. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome, Martin.
Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi compared Rabbi Tarfon to a heap of walnuts. If you remove one walnut, the whole pile follows it. Similarly, when a student would ask Rabbi Tarfon about a specific issue, he would answer with a stream of Pesukim, Mishnayos, Halachos, and Midrashim. Rabbi Tarfon was very wealthy. Nevertheless, he was known for the extraordinary way in which he honored his elderly mother. For example, whenever she needed to get on or off her bed, he would kneel beside the bed so that she could step onto his back. When Rabbi Tarfon fell ill, his mother asked the Chachamim to daven that he should be healed in the merit of the great honor he gave her. She recounted that one Shabbos, while she was taking a stroll in her yard, her sandal broke. Rabbi Tarfon placed his hands under his mother's feet so she could walk without dirtying her feet. The Chachamim replied, even if he were to do 1,000,000 times more, he would still not have reached the level of honoring one's parents mandated in the Torah. Once Rabbi Akiva met Rabbi Tarfon and said to him, would you like me to buy a city or 2 for you? Rabbi Tarfon agreed and gave him 4,000 gold dinars.
Just to clarify, the purpose here was that they should be able to support themselves in order to be able to study Torah. Okay, finish your story.
Rabbi Akiva took the money and distributed it all to poor Torah scholars. Later, when Rabbi Tarfon inquired about the cities, Rabbi Akiva brought him to the Beis Midrash, took a Tehillim, and read the following pasuk, which I'm not going to read. He scattered his wealth by giving the poor. His righteousness endures forever.
That is the verse. That's the verse. Meaning you skipped the Hebrew, but that's English for the verse.
He scattered his wealth by giving the poor. His righteousness endures forever. Pointing to the many people studying Torah supported by Rabbi Tarfon's donation, Rabbi Akiva said, this is the city I have bought for you. Rabbi Tarfon kissed Rabbi Akiva and exclaimed, you are my teacher and master, my teacher in Torah and master in conduct. He immediately gave more money to distribute to tzedakah. He is buried between the cities of Tzfas and Meron.
Thank you, Leah, for reading that for us. So this is Rabbi Tarfon, and that's the rabbi that we're going to be learning from today in this 15th Mishnah of Pirkei Avot. And I chose to switch around the order, and first we learn about who he was before we learn about what he teaches us, because I really feel like this influences a lot of what he says, and it really gives us an appreciation of who he was. You know, all of us know that as part of the 10 Commandments, one of them is honor thy father and mother, right? That's it. We have to honor our parents. And that means that lots of things. It means that we have to make sure we support them. It means that as they get older, we should make sure that we take care of them. It means that, we shouldn't allow them to serve us with food. We should serve them. It means that we should, all sorts of things, right? It comes down to like even nitty-gritty details, like things like not calling your parents by their name, instead calling them by their title, mom, dad, etc. It comes down to not sitting in their place, all these little details. Rabbi Tarfon took kibbud of aim to the extreme, as we see in that story. He also was a tremendously sensitive person. I'll share with you another story which was not mentioned here. Where is it? Yeah, the way that Rabbi Tarfon would teach his students is that he would always try to sharpen them and encourage them to be more and more, not just studious, but independent, self-sustaining in their studies. Rabbi Tarfon was famous for, first of all, for sometimes asking his students, can I ask you questions? Can I push you further, etc. Sometimes when they would come to him and they would ask him questions, he would say, I don't want to answer this question. You can answer this question on your own. Let me guide you and help you be able to do that. He was an extremely sensitive person. We see this with regards to his honoring his mother, but you see it also with regards to the way he honored his wife and his children. The Gemara in Masechta Pesachim, in Tractate Pesachim, tells us that Rabbi Tarfon is brought as a shining example of someone who made sure to please his wife and children prior to the holidays, right? So before Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, there is a law that you're supposed to try to make your wife and children happy. And there's different things brought down in the Jewish code of law. You can buy them clothing. You can make sure you have meat and wine at your table. You can buy the children new toys. Things that make people happy. That's it, gifts, right? And Rabbi Tarfon is brought down as someone who excelled in these things. In other words, on the one hand, he was a tremendous Torah scholar, but on the other hand, he was extremely sensitive to the people around him, allowing his Torah to influence the way he worked on a day-to-day basis. That is Rabbi Tarfon. Okay, now what does Rabbi Tarfon share with us? So Lisa, sorry, I know before I said Leah Lisa, and I mixed up, but it's okay. Lisa, if you can read for us now, go ahead. So what does Rabbi Tarfon say? Top left.
So Rabbi Tarfon says,
yeah.
The day is short and time is very limited. There is a lot of work to be done in Torah learning and serving Hashem. The workers are lazy and could achieve more if they put more in effort. The reward for this work is great, and Hashem, the master, is pressuring the workers to accomplish more.
Thank you. So Rabbi Tarfon gives us an analogy for life. He says life can be compared to being an employee in the service of an employer. And the employees, well, let's start with the day, right? And the day is short. There's lots of work to do on this day. And the employees are lazy, but the reward is great. And the employer is pressuring, right? He's pressuring the workers to accomplish more and more and more and more. And using this analogy, he says we can look at our lives. Our lives are short, and there is an unlimited amount of Torah to study. We're going to break this down step by step. But our lives are short. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, says in Ecclesiastes, he says, "Ein adam yodea ito uzmano." A man does not know, his time in life, how long he has to live. Our lives are short, so far as we're concerned. In fact, the Gemara says that a person should not just look at their lives as one day. I'm sorry, not the Gemara. The Medrash says that Medrash Shmuel, which is one of the commentary on Pirkei Avot, says what Rabbi Tarfon is telling us here is that in addition to looking at your life as one fleeting day, which is definitely a good attitude to have, today is the day, today is the first day, today is the last day, I should do whatever I can today. I shouldn't push off good things for tomorrow, etc. But in addition to that, what does it tell us? It tells us Yom Katzer, the day is short. It's like a winter day, Anybody know in the winter when when it starts to really get to January and you turn around, you're like, oh my God, it's dark already? I can't believe it, right? For like a full month, we're saying, I can't believe it, We should look at our lives like it's that kind of day. It's a day that's disappearing in front of our eyes, and if we don't take advantage of this moment, today, tomorrow, in an hour, if we don't take advantage of these moments to serve Hashem, then we'll never be able to accomplish even half of what we need to accomplish in our lives. As he continues, that the work is much. Work, of course, refers here to Torah and mitzvah, the serving of Hashem. The Torah says, "Rechaba hi min yam." I forget the exact phrasing, But the Torah is as wide as the sea, right? It's unlimited. There's unlimited amount of Torah to learn in our lives. We're here today for half an hour, and we're studying a little bit of Pirkei Avot, but really there's so much more. There's the whole Pirkei Avot, there's the whole Mishnah, and the whole Talmud, and the whole everything, right? And we should study as much as we can. When we live our lives with this kind of pressure, I know it's not very popular today, right? Everybody says, "Oh no, don't pressure yourself. Live life, live in the moment." But if we live with this kind of pressure, then all of a sudden we take every moment seriously. There's no such thing as like, oh, let me just kill 2 hours. Let me just, right? Even if you're spending 2 hours maybe in a more relaxed fashion, it's in order that the time should be more useful, in order that you should be able to move forward in other time. There's no moment in life that is wasted. To borrow from modern millennial terms, am I the only millennial on here? No. I think there's one or two of us. Anyways, but to borrow from modern millennial terms, you know, my in-laws, Rabbi and Mrs. Hanoka, they live on a street called Mar Vista, but their house is on the corner of Mar Vista and a little tiny road called Yola. Has anybody ever seen that?
Yep.
You guys know that street?
Yes.
Very, very often there are small accidents on the corner, not major accidents, little fender benders, because teenagers will stop and teenagers or young 20s, they'll stop to take selfies with the sign of the street. And then they stop their cars in the middle of the street, and then somebody comes roaring up Wilson, and then there's a little fender bender. Why are they taking selfies with the street? Because the word YOLO in modern millennial speak stands for you only live once. Has anybody ever heard this before? And it's a life mentality that many people have. YOLO, you only live once.
I have never heard this before. YOLO, you only live once?
You only live once, yes.
Never heard it.
Now, in millennial terms, it's a very materialistic approach. You only live once, so go skydiving. You only live once, so eat as many good foods as you can. You only live once, so travel around a lot, etc. All sorts of things like that. But of course, it can be used for whatever you'd like. And as with everything in this world, if it's created and if that attitude exists, then obviously there's something positive to it. And so today we learn the Jewish equivalent, which is thousands of years older than YOLO. Rabbi Tarfon tells us the day is short. You only live once. Take advantage of every single moment to serve Hashem. I think it was the Maharami Rottenberg, who lived quite a few hundred years ago, perhaps almost 1,000 years ago, Germany.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a little bit confused. As I'm thinking when he lived, I have 2 or 3 options in my head, so I'm not going to give you an exact era. I don't know exactly when, but he lived in Germany, in Rottenberg. Rottenberg is in Germany, I think, right?
Yes, it is.
Anyways. And one of the main scholarly works that we have from him is the way that he responded to questions, right? So responsa, what today is known as Shailot Utshuvot. So we have books from him that are called Teshuvot, Shailot Utshuvot, Marami Rottenberg, which mean questions and answers that were asked of the Marami Rottenberg, and the responses that he gave. So questions that were asked and the responses that he gave to those questions. And one of the questions that he got, I believe it was him, was from a fellow who was suffering in prison. And for whatever reason, the details are not given, whether it was just anti-Semitic or whether it was actually for some real reason, right? There's no way of knowing from that era. In any event, and he writes to the rabbi and says to him, I have one day that I can ask for, that I can kind of get like not freedom, but like a pass to do whatever I want. I can't put on tefillin every day, and I can't daven every day, and I can't fast on Yom Kippur, and I can't fast on Tisha B'Av, and I can't have a Seder on Passover, and I can't get drunk on Purim, and nothing. I can't do anything. But they're allowing me one day. Rabbi, help me choose which day should I choose? Arnold, if you had to choose, which day would you choose?
To celebrate?
Yeah, one day in the whole year you can choose. Yom Kippur. Okay? Anybody want to argue? Marguerite, which day would you choose?
Purim.
Who says Purim? Oh, Elise says Purim.
Okay.
I like it, Elise. If you had to choose one day, why would you fast when you can drink? Right? I see Elise's logic. What was that, Marguerite?
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah is a good answer. Marami.
Sukkot.
Yes, these are all very, very good answers. None of them are what the Marami Rottenberg answered. He answered. Come again?
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah, yes. But the Marami Rottenberg answered him, if you can choose one day that you're going to allow you to practice Judaism, choose today. Because today will never return, and nobody knows what's going to come tomorrow. And today, Hayom La'asosam tells us the verse. Today, you have an obligation to do the mitzvah today. You have an obligation to do whatever you can with your life today. You might not be alive tomorrow. You might not be around tomorrow. You might not have opportunities tomorrow. You might not. Etc. Yom Kippur is a beautiful day, but Yom Kippur is your next obligation.
Yeah.
And thinking more positively, maybe tomorrow you'll be free. Maybe by this coming Yom Kippur, you'll already be able to practice Judaism freely. So therefore,
Mitzvah is a very good thing each and every day.
absolutely. And this is the attitude that Rabbi Tarfon encourages us to have in this Mishnah. Arnold, you want to read for us? No time to waste.
Okay. For the 40 days that Moses was on Har Sinai, he didn't sleep at all. The Midrash company is very light. Can you make it darker?
I'm sorry. I can't make it darker, but I can maybe try to zoom in a little bit.
Compares the two
Go ahead.
things.
Okay. The Midrash compares this to a king who gave his servant 24 hours to collect as much gold and silver as he wanted from the royal treasury. Of course, the servant would not waste even a minute of the precious time to take a break for during that time he could be collecting more treasures. Continue on the
On the next column.
Okay, so it was with
So it is.
Yeah, I can't see.
Hold on, I'll move it over.
Can I read?
There you go. Go ahead, Arnold.
So it is with each one of us. The day is short. We have been given a limited amount of time, and there is a lot of work. So much Torah to be learned and mitzvah to be performed. We must not waste our precious time. Before Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai passed away, he said, I don't know in which direction I will be taken, whether to Gan Eden or to the opposite. He said this is because all throughout his life, he was so busy doing what needed to be done that he never felt it right to take time to make an accounting of his personal standing and accomplishments in his lifetime.
Thank you, Arnold. Can you imagine living such a life that you're so busy studying Torah, you're so busy actually being present and being focused? This is something I think that we, the 21st century, can't even imagine. I know we say that the young people are not very present because they're on their smartphones all day, but really all of us struggle with being present, being in the moment, and actually serving Hashem with all of our heart at every single moment. Here's a man who lived his entire life like that, so much so that when it came to the end of his life, he didn't know. He never stopped to take an accounting. He never stopped to figure out which direction he's going. He was just every moment serving Hashem as much as he could in that moment. And this began at the very birth of our nation. When Moshe Rabbeinu was on Mount Sinai, it says he didn't sleep for 40 days and 40 nights. Why? Because every single moment that he had to be able to study Torah, he did. And this is the attitude we should take when we study Torah. The problem is that we're lazy, right? The employer is pressuring, but the employees are lazy. Isn't it interesting that the term used here is poalim? Poalim means employees or workers. You'd imagine, for a worker to be lazy is one thing. We are talking here about somebody who studies Torah. We're not talking about the people who don't study Torah. They wouldn't even be called workers. They're fired, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about the people who don't work at all. We're talking about people who study Torah, but when they study Torah, they're lazy in their study of Torah. Why? Because they don't push themselves further, and they don't use more moments to study Torah. They have I learn once a week for half an hour. That's good for me.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. We should constantly be pushing ourselves forward. Marguerite, you want to read for us? In the Spark section, you can do better. The yellow section, do you see that?
Yes. You can do better. When a parent punishes a child, he certainly doesn't mean to hurt him. On the contrary, he is disciplining him out of great love and care, so the child will grow up knowing the right way and reach his full potential. Similarly, Hashem urges us to keep doing more out of his tremendous love toward us. He knows our potential and wants us to put in the effort it takes to reach it.
So like a parent who sometimes tells their children tough things and pushes them further than they would want to, right? Usually our biggest critics are our moms, right? Am I the only one who can relate with that? My biggest critics are my mom and dad. I'll tell them, Dad, I made this massive event and so many people came and we learned so much Torah. And he says, you could do more, you could do better. I'm not saying he doesn't express gratitude. He doesn't express how proud he is of me. But he's definitely always pushing me further. And let's end off with a story. Stephanie, you're muted. Are you driving? Stephanie?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, let's end off with a story.
The
Go
once
ahead.
in a lifetime guest?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have a child with me.
That's okay.
Okay. When order burns.
Rabbi, when Rabbi Dover.
Okay.
The R stands for Rabbi.
Okay, would stay in Lebin, he would wake everyone at dawn, saying, "Wake up, a guest has arrived whom you have never seen. I will never see again, and will never see again." "Who is this guest?" the people asked. And he said, "Today," he answered, "today is the only once in its will, only once, and it will never come again. What has to be done today cannot be done any other day, because each day has its special work."
That's right. Thank you very much, Stephanie. And what a note to end on. Imagine if we took that approach every single day. We recognize that there's somebody here, right? Imagine if you got to meet some big actor or some famous poet or a literary author or, I don't know, a president, whatever it is. And today was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to meet them, right? I bet you none of you would be on this Zoom. You'd be busy. You'd be like, the Zoom, Rabbi Zushi teaches every single week. What's the big deal? I'll go next week. I'll watch the recording, right? Sometimes I think to myself that I shouldn't record the classes because I think some people rely on the recording. They're like, all right, if I can't make it, all right, I'll watch the recording. Do they watch the recording? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
We have to take an approach as if it's a guest that arrived and is here, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we will never be able to see them again. That's what today is. Today is a day, and I say this to you, we're not talking about theories here. Today, August 23rd, 11:29 a.m., this minute will never be here again. Thank God we're using it now to study Torah, because it will never be here again. It never was here. And we're utilizing it to its full potential. But what about 11:32 a.m. or 11:45 a.m. when the class is going to be done? What are each and every one of you going to go out and do? Are you going to treat that moment, this day, as if it's a guest that you've never seen before and you will never see again? You're going to make something good happen out of it? Or are we going to waste it away? I'll leave you on that note. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yep.